I really believe people are listening to this or watching this and like, they hear you saying that, or okay, but come on, you're famous and like you have it made. Everything's easy for you. Everything was easy for you.
If I would start to go through nisyonos, that personal family nisyonos, different stuff. I'm saying just because a guy is running around farbrengen, that means that everything's perfect in his life. I'm saying the Olam has struggles, the Olam has inyanim, the Olam has things. The people are set in this world to be metaken, That's what we're doing. We're all pulling through.
It's that time of week again, and welcome back to Inspiration for the Nation. And there's a lot of singers out there, but not every singer has something to say. They have what to sing, but they don't all have what to say. But Benny Friedman and Joe Newcomb have a lot to say. And you've probably seen them together at some point in your life, whether it's by a wedding or on social media. And I love the dynamics between the two of them. They feed off each other's energy, and they come from such different backgrounds. But they are obviously both singers and are both working on, how Joey would say, is their avoidah and what their mission here is, whether they're a shliach or a shliach. So in this week's episode, I got to sit down with both of them in the one and only Donnie Gross's studio. Think of how much amazing, incredible music comes out of there. So aside from the people I'm talking to, the actual space that we did it in was really incredible. And this week's episode is in memory of Shimon David ben Yaakov Shleima, as well as Miriam Sarup as Yaakov Moshe. And also, thank you to our sponsors. This week, we have Rabbi David M. Cohn. Again, you'll hear like that mini-ish interview that I have with him in middle, so stay tuned for that. And also the groundbreaking book talking about personal privacy, which you'll hear more about in this episode. But right now, it is Joey and Benny time. We can all use some inspiration to help us overcome the obstacles we encounter in our lives. Get ready for thrilling conversations about struggle and triumph with those in pursuit of making a positive impact in this world. I'm Yaakov Langer, and you're listening to Inspiration for the Nation.
Okay, so it's an honor to be here. I've never done this before, but this is my first time doing a podcast. I really want to just publicly thank Hashem. And with my co-host, Brother Benny over here, we decided that we're going to start doing a podcast. And our first guest is Rabbi Dr. Langer, who he himself is a podcaster. Is that the word?
Yeah. Why would I be your first guest?
You know why? Because because your whole inyan is the inyan of the podcast. So we figured if you're always busy I'm losing my words here. If you're always busy interviewing everyone else, we got to interview the podcaster, not the podcastees.
Interesting. I don't know if
we're all the podcastees. The guy who's always doing the podcast needs to be podcasted because we have to see his tchunas hanefesh.
So let me ask. This is a question for both of you. Being that you guys now are the interviewers.
Wait, did we start?
What's a question that you always wished that people asked you on a podcast, or just in general? Like, what's a question you wish, maybe it's a fan that comes up to you, that they ask you more of? Okay, can I get a selfie? Those are classics. What's something you want someone to ask you?
Now that's a deep question, Rabbi Yaakov.
Too deep? Are we going into...
Because I really, if I have to be honest here, I always wanted them to ask me, what's pshat with the white hairs in your beard?
You have white hairs?
I'm joking.
I always wanted people to ask me, what's your favorite mitzvah?
Okay.
Yeah.
You had a good joke. I remember you said like something about like random, about like winnowing or something along the lines of that. I remember. And like, but you said it so seriously, I'm like, wait.
Winnowing? What's winnowing?
Something like
what winnowing is.
Like not to winnow on Shabbos or something like that.
What's that?
I think it's when you have a shovel and you throw it up and then the kernels...
Oh, dosh? No, that's after winnowing.
I don't know. I'm not
What's
sure.
What's winnowing?
Is there a Donnie, are you a farmer?
No. Oh, by the way, I just want the Olam to know we're here in Brother Donnie's studio, but he's hiding right out. I'm just being Megala. He's hiding right outside the door because he's afraid if the Olam sees him, he's going to have to take selfies when he goes out with his wife to eat in the restaurant.
Benny, can you take me through...
Wait 1 second.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I'm like running your show.
I'm sorry, I'm being very silly here, but Levaisa, the avoidah of being overtired. It's not a deep avoidah. But Brother Benny said, is that for real your favorite mitzvah? That's what you want the Olam to ask?
No, I don't know. I thought it was funny.
No,
613 mitzvahs. Pick one that's your favorite. I figured. I don't know. Maybe shikha. You know?
Right.
No, but the
Something
Olam
like
asked. The Olam asked that question. I've heard people ask that question. Pay is even deeper. How we doing?
Yeah.
By the way, the pay is a hiding. I don't know if you noticed. Sometimes a begin of nigla, sometimes nisner.
Two things. First of all, if they're listening, they don't know what you're talking about because they probably assume your pace is there. If they're watching, yeah, but a lot of people are listening to this.
Oh,
That's one thing. Second, well, two more things. First of all, maybe be careful with the mic because I think when you tap it, it's like people hear Joey's hands. Yeah, okay, they hear that. And then thirdly, also, you keep on looking at the mics, which you totally could, but I think
keep on looking at the
mics, cameras. Thank you.
Oh, because I'm looking at I'm not looking at the mic. I'm doing it.
Sorry. So look. I mean, you could look at the mic if the camera. Sorry, thank you, Benny. But it's probably best connection-wise to look at all of us.
Taki saying deep. It's all about connection. It's not about the camera.
That's
Forget
what
the
it's
camera.
about.
Lamai said your camera, $50. At least 60, no?
Yeah, you're probably close to 70, but yeah.
You want to know a real question I always want people to ask me?
Yeah.
What are you?
You want people to come up to you and say, "What are you?"
Yeah. Because I'll keep them there for an hour saying an answer. No, you're asking, Brother Benny? What are you? Sometimes a guy comes over to me, he's like, "You Breslov? What are you? You Litvish? You..."
Well, we'd have to go in an hour of it, but
But what are you?
what are you?
Yeah, Brother Benny. If somebody came over to you and said, "What are you?" What are you telling?
I say, how much time do you have?
Oh. No, because really the deepest and the most pneumistic answer is I'm a Yid. I mean, you couldn't tell. I'm wearing a Yamaha. I got my tzitzis over here. You know what I'm saying? What are you? What type of thing is that? Oh, Elamai, you're holding by the inyan of titles. Okay, beside it.
Labels. But I think labels, there's a lot of downside, but it's also it makes things a little easier. Maybe it's like my flapper side coming out. But
Labels for label?
No, like he's a Chabad guy, you're a Breslov guy. I'm kidding. But it's just, I don't know, there's something that you kind of, it just makes it easier to know, okay, your structure, where you're from, not in a bad way. Why is it?
Is deep. I'm asking.
I feel like today's generation is very labels are limiting. I mean, it is in ways when people are like, oh, that's who you are, but also it's I don't know, the easier identifier to...
Well, especially for the guy himself, Lamashal, because if I'm associated with a certain people that I want to be associated with, it's good for me, right?
Right. It's a good thing.
Yeah, but,
Benny, do you feel that people label you as a Chabad guy?
Yeah, sure. And I'm very happy about that.
Oh, you like it. So you're saying it's a good example of being labeled.
Yeah, absolutely.
why would that...
No. Sometimes, in the reverse of the labeling, people don't want to be put into a certain box. Not like saying Chabad, but I'm so much more than just a Chabad guy. I'm Benny. I don't know.
There's nothing more than that.
Really?
That's the highest.
That's the essence.
Highest of the high.
Really? Was there ever a point where
they said, there was Hasidim, there was a Hasid who was trying to cross the border in Russia, and the police stopped him and said, "Are you a Hasid of the Lubavitcher Rebbe?" I try to be. I call myself a Hasid. He couldn't give a straight answer because...
I should be Zeichen.
Yeah, who could ever call themselves...
So you're saying it's a major schus.
The greatest goal.
It's so interesting because from each of you, I guess you aren't either I'm Litvish, I guess, if I'm talking about
Don't call yourself names.
Brother Benny, don't say that in front of us.
No, but it's very interesting. I think maybe on the side that Joey was saying, being a Yid, I hear that, but there is something nice being, I guess, a part of, I don't know if it's a Hasidus or...
Yeah, 100% if it's a Maila. So you're right. Breslov, that would be Lamashal. If it really depends, because if the guy who's asking me looks down at Breslov, then by saying, "Are you a Breslover?" But for me, let's say that's the biggest mile. But let's say, "Oh, you're a Brooklyn guy." Oh, you're.
I'm such a proud Brooklyn guy. Sorry, I hear what you're saying.
They still have a minion in Brooklyn.
Right, that's what you're saying. If someone's calling you a certain title in order to distance himself from you, right? You are whatever,
exactly,
and
Bidyu.
I'm not
Bidyu.
that, but you are.
Exactly, Bidyu. 100%.
You're giving labels in order to divide us.
Right.
So you're saying a good yisoid, because be'etzem a label could be a gavaldiga thing.
Yeah.
But the reason that people are nervous from labels is because it's, for the most part, I guess in people's heads it's been creating division.
Right.
Shouldn't be.
I hear that.
Very deep, Brother Ben.
I think we could probably talk about this for another hour, but I want to shift it to, I think you guys have a very fun relationship, at least that I know of, and I feel like people who see you guys on social media or by concerts, they kind of feel like they know you. which I'm sure it's only maybe 1% of who you are, maybe not even, but your relationship seems like a lot of fun. It seems very authentic and natural.
1 second, Brother Benny, 1 second. I have to get the right key. 1 second, watch out for this mic here.
If you write a song that has more than one chord,
Just a little hakdama to where you're going right now.
Okay,
you know
so
what I'm saying?
we'll get to Newcomb because I think it's one
Oh,
of
I
the
thought
best.
that's where you're going.
No. I'm going even before then. Do you guys remember when you first became friends? Well, first of all, are you guys friends? But I think I know the answer. But
Pshitas. Even though we're sitting far, you know, like when when you're in the shidduch and you have to sit in the same couch. You're like, so how you doing over there? All the way over there, you know. But the only reason why we're sitting far is because each one of us wanted an arm rest.
No, I was camera-wise.
this is the natural place to sit on
Yeah,
the
no,
couch.
yeah.
You sat down there and I sat down there.
No,
Yeah, it'd be a little weird.
We got
You're in the middle.
I
Yeah.
hear-
Gotta
I
space
hear-
it.
I hear-
Yeah. So do either of you remember when, I don't say when you first met, but when you became friends?
Well, yeah, because it was not that long ago. I mean,
It was by Newcomb. I thought it was like even before.
it's a good child. You remember, Brother Benny?
I have white hair in my beard. I don't remember nothing.
I
It was the first time we met. It was the first time.
You know what? I think we did something in Boca together before Mikamcha.
Yeah,
There was
we
definitely
did.
a concert over there.
Was that the first time we met?
It's a good child.
I don't think so.
Was
I
the
don't
first
think
time
so.
we met Taka?
Listen, I don't remember the first time we met because it feels to me like we always knew each other.
Well, no, but it's true because when you know a guy, Stam, because you're a singer and he's a singer, that's one thing. But we share Tyrus, we share Chassidus, we share Nagunim, we share. When you have to become chavrusas with your peers, you know what I'm saying? You can't become just like, you know, hey, I'll see you at the next concert. You know what I'm saying?
It's a great point you're saying because like one of the things I want to do here is like bring out dynamics, and I think with different people it's kind of like paint. Like if you have like yellow and red, it makes orange. If you have yellow and blue, it makes green. And I think each of you, if I paired you together with someone else, it might not just work from a conversation standpoint, but also just from a relationship standpoint. Like I spoke to each of you separately, right? Now bringing you together, I think it's going to add a whole different dynamic to conversation.
Yeah, because every yid you add together is mamish. I'm saying.
Right.
What do they say when you make a Lchaim, right? There's 2 yids in there. Without 2 yidin, you can't make a Lchaim with 1 yid.
What could you imagine what would have happened if Donnie was sitting in? I mean, he is sitting in, but like if he was actually here for this conversation,
Oh, if Brother Donnie was here, it would be a whole different avoidah.
it would shift it.
Well, Lamaisa, Brother Donnie's here.
He is here.
Yeah, but he's hiding.
My
Yes, sir.
brother Donnie's always listening.
So let's get into Newcomb first. Like I don't know how these things work. Did one of you guys write it? Did someone else write it? Did one of you approach each other? I don't know.
Joey wrote the song.
Oh, you wrote the song.
Yeah.
He wrote the song and he said, "Benny, I want to sing."
Joey was mekabel this matana min
Oh,
Hashemayim.
now
He
you're
was the
saying, now you're
shliach
saying, now you're
of
saying.
Hashem to bring this song to Klal Yisrael.
You know where? In the Ramah Shul in Krakow, Taka.
That's
You know
where?
about this?
How is anybody supposed to know that you were in the Ramah Shul in Krakow if you didn't write a song about it?
Very deep. but I think I remember vaguely that I was singing the niggin, and for some reason it popped in my head, Lamaisa, Brother Benny is a gaval. I don't know why I had to see out the shmai like that.
How is anybody going to believe that story if you didn't write a song about it?
And I was like, especially, you know what I really thought? I don't know if I was ever Megal this, but when I was going, hey, that hey was Mamash Chabad. You know what I'm saying? That hey, not too many chevra know the avoidah of the hey tato from the Shem Havai. That's the inyan of the hey, right? Hayam, hey, right. There's such an inyan like by the chassidim that they do that. So I thought of Brother Benny, and it's simcha, and Brother Benny's a chassid. And it has Mikam Yisrael and Simcha and all that avoidah. So I remember I called Brother Donnie, and I was like, "How are we gonna get Brother Benny to sing on this nigga?" And Brother Donnie was like, "Let me call him."
Let me handle it.
Yeah, Brother Benny. Huh?
That's true.
I don't,
true.
because I'm so mufka from this world. What's the dynamics? Is it like often that singers are like calling their friends or potential friends and saying, "Hey, could you sing on this?" And sometimes it's like, "Oh, this is gonna be easy hit," and sometimes it's gonna be like, are there times where you've turned down people to say like, "I don't think it's for me"?
Never.
Really?
Probably. Probably a few times.
Brother Benny's making jokes over here. No, there are times like that.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, you have to feel the niggin. I mean, I'm sure you listened to the song before you decided, like, hey, sure.
Making you didn't feel the thing.
By the way, is that...
You didn't like it?
Are we being McGowan?
Yeah, this is the way it's authentic. I don't want to fluff.
Me and brother Don, okay, for all the listeners out there,
It's a scoop.
a scoop. Me and brother Donnie have a site called From the Ashpa. Ashpa is the garbage. There's certain things that were schlepped out from the Ashpa. You know, because in my mind, I don't like the song.
This song was taken out of the garbage.
Shouldn't say the garbage.
Figuratively speaking.
Wait, hold on. At what point did you call Benny?
song was
Were you
never in
like,
the garbage.
The song is garbage.
Okay, one second.
Benny?
Here's the mic.
Or was it like, oh man, it's so bad, Benny, save it for
He
us?
composed it. He was like, this song is garbage. You know who could really... you know, the song makes me think of Brother Benny over there.
Brother Barry, you could sing a garbage song. Lamais, I'll tell you the whole... Quick, you ready for the mic?
Yeah, we're ready.
We went on a trip with Rabbi Groner and the Chaver in Yeshiva Ter Shimon to Poland. And it was the first time in my life we went to visit the concentration camps. We went to Auschwitz, Birkenau, Majdanek, and a couple. But one day we went to two of them. I forgot what they were called. And it happened to be, it was the day after the anniversary of liberation. So there were survivors there.
Wow.
Lamaisa, how they had the courage to show up, I have no idea.
That's where I saw for the first time Mr. Beller,
Oh,
who I ended up interviewing. But like, that's where
my
I first...
video?
Yeah.
Which video? Yeah.
Yeah, the one with Rabbi Groner, the yeshiva.
Oh, the Chaver, you saw the
Yeah,
videos
he was
there, right?
crying there whichever camp it was.
Yeah, that was right outside the gas chamber. The craziest experience we ever had. And it happens to be, it was gewaldic for the trip because everybody broke. You know, when you're there, you can't hold back anymore, you know. In your life, you're like, it's weird for me to get emotional in public. There's so many walls up between people and whatever. There's no walls over there, you know what I'm saying? There's walls. But there's no walls, you know. Everybody just broke open and you can't control yourself. It was so good for the trip because for the rest of the trip, every single person on that trip was like open and being macabre, and it was good for the trip. It was a hard experience, but anyways, emotionally everybody was just, nobody knew, you don't know what to feel. I feel proud, do I feel angry, do I feel this? I remember Rabbi Groner telling the Oilam, feel everything, gewaldic.
Right.
You know? But anyways, that night we went to the Ramah Shul to daven Ma'ariv and then to go to the restaurant where the Oilam was so filled. Emotions were pouring out. The Oilam was jumping on the table. Livdu es Hashem v'simcha.
Wow.
Everything was just nobody knew how to contain what they were feeling.
Right.
Anyways, we were davening Ma'ariv in the Ramah Shul in Krakow, and the feeling I had was Mikam Yisrael, because I'm thinking to myself, we just showed up to the place that you tried to destroy us with yarmulkes, with tzitzis, with tefillin. We just showed up. There's nobody in the world like Klal Yisrael. Any empire that was destroyed was destroyed.
Right, they're gone.
You know? We just keep on the resilience. I'm saying, you know. So I was feeling meek, Lamaisa, Mikam Yisrael. Mr. Bella was there with his Einiklach, Frum. It's unbelievable. So the Oilam went to daven by the Beis HaKvaros in the back of the shul. There's the Beis HaKvaros where the Tosfos Yantav is buried and the Ramah is buried. And I told, and Rabbi Groner was like, you're going to come with the guitar? And I said, just go without me. I need a few minutes there. And I sat a few minutes there. I remember Shlomo had wrote a niggin there, the Krakow niggin. And I was thinking to myself, and I sat there by myself in the chair looking at the spot where they say the Ramah sat. And in a matter of literally seconds, and I actually had words to it, which Brother Donnie, it was the ha'ara to take out the words. I had words with that mitala nisyoines, mitala bizyoines, oh yeah, should I know? We weren't sure words, no words, but I wrote the whole song in a matter of 20 seconds. I had it recorded on my phone, and then we went to the restaurant. And I forgot about it. Come on. As we were finishing up the album, if I remember correctly, right, Brother Donnie out there, right? Right?
Donnie's moving further
As we were
away.
finishing up, Brother Donnie's like, we could use another fast niggin. We were finishing up the album. And I was like, but niggin, I wrote a crack. I'm not into it. It's very majory. It's cute. And nine. I wasn't sure. I played it for Brother Donnie. Brother Donnie's like, how wild would I? Come out, had an attack. You know what I'm saying? He was like, what's going on? You serious? We recorded it quickly, and once I heard it recorded, the koyach of Brother Donnie is that, like, you know, he could bring out the real sound of things. And once we had it recorded, I was like, stark. And only once we knew it was stark, then Brother Benny.
Then you got
This story is starting to make sense now.
Brother Benny. You know what I'm saying?
Are recording these, because I saw a music video, my brother-in-laws are in the music video, it's great. Is it more fun to record those type of music videos or more annoying?
Why would it be annoying?
Oh, this is the aside.
Because hold on, I mean I don't know, but I know the production side of it. Like these things that like are 2 minutes, 3 minutes long of people viewing, it's like your whole day, a lot of moving parts. No one's really eating. Like bring in the gerbil. Like everyone's like things are flying around, and it's like it's at the end it looks a lot of fun, but it's I don't know, it's annoying.
What are you tired of, Brother Ben?
I don't know if it's annoying. I mean, you could be exhausted at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like if you're there, you know.
But you're like wearing a marching band costume. Where you're like, what am I doing? Like obviously, if you know,
that question
was
goes
fun.
through your head many times. Making music videos. What it has happened to my life?
Right.
This is what I do for a living. I couldn't be a normal person.
Yeah, that's for sure. But it's not, I mean, it's not annoying. It's exhausting. But like anything, I mean,
You know, I mean, you have to make it fun, though. Like, you know.
Yeah, we did something really fun. We poisoned someone and sent him to the hospital.
Oh, that's a great.
We ordered
past
sushi. There's a
life.
guy has allergic to nuts, and one of the
At the
sushi had
Newcomb
nuts on it.
yeah, they put nuts on the sushi.
There's a whole scene in the middle
and
of
I
the
had an
avoidah.
allergic reaction.
Hawaii, Brother Shua. I hope you forgive me for that day, Brother
okay,
Shua. I'm
he's
just
okay.
saying,
Okay,
Brother
Baruch
Shua.
Yeah, Baruch
It would have
Hashem.
been a little. I mean, he's fine, so I can make the joke. It would have been a little funny if, like, you're doing the whole thing marching band, like in the background, a guy like being walked out on a stretcher. Me complex.
You just made trouble over there.
Yeah. No. Okay.
For me, if you don't make it fun, you
It's
have to
not.
make it fun.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Even in the studio, it's the same Torah with the studio. You hear a final production of a song, and I'm screaming, "Hey, Brother Benny's like, me, yeah, with the fire, with the simcha, with the this, with the that." Meanwhile, like after you finish that piece, plops down the couch. Again, another take.
But how do you? I want practical advice because straight up, I think people get a misconception about me with like these podcasts and just videos I do, like, or status. Like, Yaakov Linger's a fun guy. I'm not fun at all. Ask my wife. I'm not fun, and it's such a struggle. I mean, whether it's a music video or just in life, to like make the moments fun. Like I'm like even now, like right before this, right? I'm setting things up, and like you guys are like having a good time, but my head. I could technically set things up and have a good time, but I'm like, no, I'm focused. I got to set up. Like, okay, there'll be a time for jokes at a certain point.
Okay, I hear that.
No, but like, how
Doesn't mean you're not a fun guy just because
don't
you
think
take
I'm
your
a fun
job
guy.
seriously.
I take it, but like, how do you infuse and you just look back and you're like thinking of the moments in your life and you're like,
You know what? Remember what we did? It was Gewalt. One of the scenes in that music video, I don't know if you remember, is we started out learning in Azal.
but the
A
Nazal.
little base medrash. And the Oilam was sitting around learning.
You're right.
So you remember? We actually learned.
Sure.
And
Oh, you were learning?
I was like, why act? Learn. It'd be even better acting.
Do
We actually learned.
do
We
you guys
learned a
remember
couple
what you-
letters from the Rebbe. We learned a Maimon. We
Yeah.
learned something, a piece of Tanya. We learned Perchav Zayin,
Yeah.
I think I remember.
Wow.
With Avos Yisrael, Lev.
But
See, I
Lamed
even
Beis.
remember. It was Lamed Beis Taka because it was right.
Yeah.
So we
Wow.
actually learned. So like you know it's not pashut always to try to live in the moment when you're recording a music video.
But that's the reverse. That's like taking the moment of like have fun and saying, okay, like how can we
yeah,
actually?
but the truth is, like, what are you going to do about a marching band? Be mechaven to avoid this. I guess you could be
Right.
mechaven that we're going to be bringing simcha to people. Could be mechaven taka. No.
You could, but you know, you don't always have to, not everything that you're doing do you have to have all the kavanas of the Arizal. Sometimes you could have a good time, be enjoying yourself, and then that fun and enjoyment gets translated through
Right. You can
through
feel
the
the
screen.
vibes. You can feel the vibes. But to be all honest and realistic, you could talk. You're spending hours filming, redoing the same take. At some point, you're like forcing the smile.
Right.
But maybe it's hard. But you know what?
Yeah.
If somebody shows up to your house Shabbos morning, sees a beautiful set table, sometimes they don't have all the work and the avoidah that went into that set table. You just see the final set table. It's the same thing. No one watches these videos. You know? Oh, look at them dancing around with the marching. It was taka avoidah. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Would you say that that avoidah of making obviously a music video is one thing, but when it comes to singing by weddings, camp, whatever it is that you guys are singing by, is it a different type of avoidah because obviously for you it's work, but there's also the component of like in that moment you're using your voice, you're using your talent to whatever it is. If they're by wedding, to get them happy and dancing, so it's less of that avoidah of, you know, a music video where it's okay, stop and go.
No,
Well,
brother,
here
brother.
it's like, this is, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing like, and made to do, really.
Pasha.
So that avoidah shifts in a certain way.
For sure. A lot of it also is when you're in a a live situation, there's a certain energy that you're being brought along with. In a studio situation or in a video situation, you have to bring that energy. You have to create the energy.
Right.
That's
You
so
can't. There's
interesting.
nobody to feed off of.
Right.
When you're farbringing with oilam, the simcha on people's faces, the dancing,
That gives you energy.
it's a whole different experience, no? Brother Donnie was dining like that. Brother Donnie was dining. You sit by the studio on the mic over there, looking at the wall.
Right, right.
But if there's a whole bunch of chaver in front of you, dancing and singing with you, then you're part of a matzav. It's different.
This question might be like a little too deep and more for maybe Benny's father type of thing, but like, is that, again, like just that idea of you saying that by, let's say, a wedding, people's energy feeds into the singer who's, let's call it a show, right? The show is the singer. They're the main part of the show. So the people in the audience, they may feel like, I'm not really connected to, like, okay, whatever. But at the end of the day, you're saying the audience really does feed into the energy of the person singing. Is there some concept you're saying, maybe, again, I don't know if this fear, I'm going to get canceled, but like the same way Hashem obviously doesn't need anything or anyone, but the way we do things, it affects, I don't say affects Hashem, again, I don't know how to say
Throw
this.
him out. Brother Benny, should we take him out?
The white shoe like kicks me out.
Can you start that question over?
No, basically, do you,
What's the controversial part?
I don't know if you're getting really deep because there's such a Torah about giving koyach to the pamalya, whatever that
no,
means.
that's what I'm saying. No, I mean, what's the controversial part that I'm saying? Like,
No, he's asking. He's like, just like when me and you, when we're at a crowd, it's a whole different thing because you're feeding off the energy of the crowd. So to Hashem, who's the nice and be'etzem, that's what he doesn't want to say the word.
right.
So you say the words.
But I don't want to say it either.
Yeah.
Why say it?
Feeding off the makabel.
Es korbani lachmi. It says,
Right.
my lechem.
There's such a
The
Torah like
avoidah
that, but
of Yidden
obviously
is the Eibishter sustenance. What, the Eibishter doesn't need it? Of course he needs it.
I don't, I'm scared to say it because
So say kaviyachol.
kaviyachol.
Say kaviyachol, kasher's everywhere.
Right. It's
No,
like,
but
it's like Nishtam Shabbos G'day.
Yeah.
No, I never really thought of that, but like when you guys are explaining that, I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. And the nice part about it is it truly is like that nice, like a lot of people tell me something, a random guy by a wedding feels like, what am I sheikhs? I'm a random guy by a wedding. But like, no, you really could affect the simcha. You really could affect the atmosphere, the vibe, the
For
environment.
sure.
I would say the difference is obviously because you have to say a difference, right?
Yes.
When you're talking about the Orein Seif, we're talking about Hashem's Borach.
We're all getting canceled. I was like,
We're talking about Hashem's Borach.
Right.
It's not. These aren't easy concepts that,
yes.
But I would just say the difference is that Hashem, the way He created the system, was that it works that way, which means
Right.
the etzem does He need it. You know what I'm saying?
No. Say more.
The way He created the system.
No, I'll.
is that
No?
Brother Benny,
You're
you know
not
what I'm saying,
asking?
Brother Benny over there.
No, because of that very idea. I mean, again, I don't know, but like the very idea that Hashem doesn't need anything.
Oh, you're tying Russell.
Hashem needs something-
You tie it like that. State in Chazal that the Nisava Kadosh Baruch Hu lias le'dir b'tachtonim. So Mele created a world. As he needs a nation to be able to serve him, in order for there to be a kingdom of Malchus.
No.
He needs people to
Yeah.
be in the kingdom. Is that what
He needs Yidden. This is a better question for my father.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are
But it's not
sugyas
controversial to say that Eibishter needs Yidden and Eibishter needs mitzvahs. I mean, why is that controversial?
because the word needs is controversial.
Right.
Okay, so translate the word need, however it makes you comfortable.
Right.
Or, like I said, so say kaviyachol and that's it.
I want to bring.
How about we have a podcast in 50 years from now, after I learned all of Kisvei Arizal, we'll rediscuss this inyan.
I am down. Set Alexa, set a timer for 50
me
years.
and we're officially supposed to have a chavrusa shop. After we finally start learning,
Are we going to make a chavrus or we should do...
after we finish all of Tanya, we'll
Yeah.
start to schmooze these nakudas. No?
Yeah, but you're going to have to learn more than Tanya to,
All right,
to really get
I
to the
want to go
bottom
back
of
to
it.
the label conversation in a certain way. I basically want to talk about, I guess, the contrast between Hasidus now, or just what it is, and people who don't have Hasidus in their life. I mean, I'll use me as an example. I don't have Hasidus. I mean, I'm surrounded by a lot of people with Hasidus. I'm not even sure how to even define what Hasidus is, but first of all, why do each of you think that Hasidus has become so much more popular in 2022 than it maybe
Brother
was
Ben, you're going to have
in
to go for this one
1992.
over there.
I think that Hasidus has permeated all parts of Yiddishkeit. So to say that you're not so influenced by Hasidus, I think is not correct.
Interesting, okay.
Because Yiddishkeit...
What is Hasidus? How would you define Hasidus? For someone who's
Hasidus-
listening, not religious, and they're like, what is Hasidus?
Hasidus it would be translated like Pnimiyas HaTorah. So you can learn a pshat of something and learn a very simple explanation for what it means, and it would be very clear and black and white. Or you can try to, like the Baal Shem Tov said, Lifnim Mishuras Hadin. Who is saying this? Who is saying this, and why is he saying it, and what is he trying to get from it? And when you start to focus on the Noisein HaTorah, on the Lifnim Mishuras Hadin, on the Pnimiyas, on who is there, right? Like when you learn and you can envision that the Eibishter is Yoshev, the Shoyne Kenegdoi, that the Eibishter is sitting right, it's all different thing. It's a whole different thing. When you daven, you're like a child talking to his father. It's not that you're checking off a checklist of you know what I mean, daily
To-do list.
Daily to-do. Boom,
Right.
boom, boom, boom. No, there's an Eibishter, and he's real, and he needs things from you, and your Yiddishkeit comes alive. And the way to do that is to delve into the lachluchis. What is Yiddishkeit? What is the Eibishter? What am I doing here? How do I fit into this master picture?
So why why is 2022 or just every year?
Because
It feels
after
like it's
after enough time, people realize there's no other way.
Ey Masai Kosima Lekishe Yafutsu Manasecha Chuvutza. I think it also has to do with, as we get closer to Mashiach, you know, that's the whole inyan is that the light of the Baal Shem Tov Chutza starts to spread all over the place. But right, like Brother Benny was tining, there's guf and there's neshama. There's body and soul to everything. Everything has a body and everything has a soul. And focusing in on the fact that the soul is actually the life force of everything. And not focusing on the body. No? Is that a good
For
mashal
sure.
for the Inyan?
For sure, and it's
avoidah
across the
Chasidus,
board.
Neshama, inner soul. The soul of everything. The soul of Shabbos. You know? I mean, I'm sure there are people that keep Shabbos their entire life, and if you ask them what Shabbos, they'll say Shabbos is, I can't separate the peas from the carrots. You know? Well, Lamaisa, what is it? You know? What is Lamaisa?
I don't know if you're like actually asking the question or you're saying like
No, I'm trying to
okay, good.
express how I
don't
feel
wanna
about
have
the
to
Inyan.
Explain what it is.
And I think people need people need soul. You know? How long can you be focused on something that's external? External things spoil; they stale, right? Rav Wolfson even brings down by the Chet of Adam Arishan. It says that after he ate from the Eitz Hadas, there was Misa brought into the world. Zakt Rav Wolfson, you know what that means? That means that there was ending to physical, expiration. Amal, when there was a perfect harmony between spiritual and physical, the spiritual fed so much life to the physical that the physical never ended. But once there's like a separation, you know, by the gufa, they say the gufa that tzaddikim doesn't disintegrate in the ground because they got that perfect harmony with soul. But spiritual is forever. Soul is forever. Physical expires, right? A tomato rots. There's an expiration date in your milk. You know? So physical things expire. You can't, if you're focused on the outside, it won't last.
We'll be right back to this episode, but first, this episode is brought to you by the essential children's book talking about personal privacy by Mrs. Bracha Goetz. Her name actually is spelled Goetz, but it's pronounced as Goetz. And I was always mispronouncing that my whole life because I've always heard of her, and she's big in the children's book world. It is published by Feldheim and illustrated by the renowned artist Shepsel Scheinberg. You've probably, if you're religious, if you're Orthodox, you've seen his work at some point in your life. It's one of these books that gives over such incredible, important information in such an easy to consume way. I've gone through it. My child is 1.5, so I don't think he's really honestly picking up what's going on, because any book we have, but I've read it to him. And if you have a child that's 2.5, 3, 5, 7, 10, whatever the age is, this is the perfect book for them. Listen, let's be honest. It's hard to talk about the bad things in the world. And like even now, I'm struggling to talk about it, but the book does it in such a good, clear, sneeze way. And it's done well. It's great. It's great. Like, I think if I was a kid reading it, I wouldn't even realize like how important the message is. It was just given over in such like a authentic way. So so this engaging informative book empowers parents with the tools to discuss personal safety and avoiding unwanted touch in a gentle and positive way. It presents important information broken down into simple concepts for children while adhering to the highest standards of sensitivity and hashkafa, which is not an easy balance to do, but this book does it. This book has been carefully reviewed by Gedolei Yisrael in both Eretz Yisrael and America, who gave their enthusiastic bracha to use this book as a tool to enhance and strengthen our children's safety. If you have children, if you plan on having children, this book is essential. It's not, I don't think it's an option. You should have this book in your home, and as you know, statistically, the more children learn about abuse and just dangers in the world, the more protected they are. So, aside for it being a great book and at a great price, for the Inspiration for the Nation listeners, you will get 25% off and free shipping with the code TALK25. That's TALK25 at checkout. All you got to do is go to Feldheim.com, and in the link in the show notes, there will be a link that directly will lead you to Feldheim, and I'm assuming they're going to track it. So for my benefit, please buy the book. For your children's benefit, please buy the book. For the world's benefit, please buy the book. It's a great price. You'll get 25% off and free shipping. I know this was a little lengthy. Get ready for another book suggestion in middle, but it's great. These books are, listen, you can't listen to the Inspiration for the Nation on Shabbos, but you could read these books. You could protect your children. So now back to this week's episode. Go buy the book.
Where would you say, in what each of you are saying very beautifully, where would you say music is in this role? Is it a gashmias thing? Is it a spiritual thing? Is it both?
What, music?
Yeah.
I think music is now we're getting deep right now. Now we're getting deep, because now the wheels are turning. A guy wants to, can I say a little nicer, Brother Benny? A guy wants to ask me, you know what? I gotta ask you the question. A guy once asked me, he's like, Brother Benny, Brother Joey, he said, are you sick of Thank You Hashem? I get this kasha, yeah? So did anybody ask you, are you sick of Yesh Tikva?
Many times. I'm so sick of that question.
So a guy said, are you sick of Thank You Hashem? So I said, are you sick of Mincha? So he's like, what do you mean? I was like, every day, I'm the same Shemoneh Esrei 3 times a day, not sick of it yet? So he says, maybe, yeah.
I just sent you the halacha we were learning this morning. What
is it?
From the Rambam.
Lamaisa.
You talk.
If you're doing the same thing, so I tell you like this: music is some spiritual.
Geen gaz, this says as zegt the Rambam. Geen gaz ru shloi lenagim bekli shir kulam. V'chol mine zemer v'chol mashmiei koil shel shir. This is after the Churban. No singing. No more singing. Asur lismayach bohem v'asur lishaman mipnei Churban. There was a Churban Beis HaMikdash. How are you going to sit and sing songs and dance and you know? V'afilu shira bapeh. Al iyan asura. Shneimar b'shir lo yishtu yayin. Okay. Ukvar nagu kol Yisrael. But the minhag has become loymar divrei tishbachos oy shir shel hoidois lakeil v'kayotzei boilu al yayin. Songs like Thank You Hashem. This has become accepted, and this is how Yidden sing nowadays. After the Churban, you can say Thank You Hashem.
Gewaldig. There it is. But first of all, by the way, I have a very practical answer, Brother Benny. If you're forced to sing Thank You Hashem every night, first of all, I apologize. Second of all, I have a very deep answer. You know, they say a guy has to be, you have to be machadash in your davening. The same Shemoneh Esrei 3 times a day, and be machadash. When you're machadash one nakuda, it makes the whole thing fresh. Imagine a guy's at a gig, and when he has to sing Thank You Hashem, literally for 1 second, he thinks that I said Thank You Hashem for this gig. Now the whole niggin became a new niggin. There's eights to not get
And
sick
could you
of
do
it.
that every gig? Because I said, could you do that every gig? Because every gig
is a new
appreciate.
gig. I'm sure there's plenty of things that happen during the day that you could think of that's new to thank Hashem
Right.
for.
It's that I guess you're saying if it's natural, then automatically you have something to be thankful about. So of course it's not hard to do because
No,
you're
I'm saying like
tapping
that. I'm saying music is be'etzem spiritual, right? It's the language of the soul. There's so many lashonis from the tzaddikim, describing the quill of the soul. There's so many lashonis from the tzaddikim about music. Music is be'etzem spiritual, right? Your soul gets moved from music. There's tyrus upon tyrus upon tyrus upon tyrus. The Gra even wrote somewhere in one of the Pirushim that you could be Mechayim Mesim based on our pasuk. You mamish be Mechayim Mesim. If you really knew the Koyach HaNagina, there's a Heichel HaNagina. So music is be'etzem a spiritual thing. It's not tangible. It's not physical. But if I could say maybe if it's your choice, meaning people could relate to it as a physical thing. L'mashal, if a guy sits down and the whole tachlis of his singing is not to be misdabik to the words, or to not be misdabik to the niggin, or to not be misoyer, and it's just because, hey, I like to sing with people, and it's a cool harmony, So maybe Taki could get sick of it after a while because that's just an ear avoidah.
An ear avoidah.
That's just an ear avoidah. Meaning, Lamashal, I remember. I want to say there was a guy who told me he's sick of Kayach Seif. I can be sick of Kayach Seif. Every day I want to sing it 3 times a Shabbos. I don't want to sing it anymore. But if a guy mamish thought it was holding in the avodah of Shabbos and is holding in the words of Kayach Seif and is holding in the premius of the inyan, then how can you get sick of it? It's the same thing. You daven Shemona Esrei 3 times a day. Of course, you could get sick of it. So it's all totally in how you're relating to it. Are you relating to it as a physical thing or as a spiritual thing? If it's a physical thing, physical expires. There's an expiration date. It gets old. You could get sick of hot dogs. I told a guy, you could get sick of hot dogs. How can you get sick of a niggin? If you connect to the inyan on the avodah on a spiritual level, that's soul. Soul doesn't end. Am I saying too deep over here, Brother Benny?
No, you're not. But it could be a niggin, like the niggin itself could be a niggin that's shaykh to get sick of. You know what I mean? It has to be also a good niggin.
The niggin itself could be be'etzem a physical
Sure.
avodah.
If a niggin has, like they say, a niggin has to have a ratzui and a shuv. It has to go somewhere and come back. It has to take you. It has to be a struggle. It has to be something going on. If a niggin is a few notes cobbled together by whatever, without any seichel, you get sick of that very fast.
There you go.
It's so interesting, the dynamics of a song, because I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but you say there's the first time you hear a song, even if it's going to become your favorite song, you don't appreciate it as much as you do the second or third or fourth. Like once you start becoming familiar, and then you could, if you just listen to it on repeat for 24 hours, then you could get sick of it. It's a very interesting concept with I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this.
It's interesting you saw it, Taka. Brother Benny, you have to have I don't know, like for me, Mikam Cholsa grew. Brother Danny has a kayak to just hear from the second. If it's going to be a hit, it's not going to be a hit. So, yeah, Brother Benny?
Yeah, you for sure have to hear a song a few times. And then after a while, you could get sick of it. But you could get sick of it because, a song is supposed to do something for you.
Right.
Right? A song is meant to take you from somewhere to another place. Or if, stop to listen to a song while you're driving, you know what I mean? You're not doing any cheshbon hanefesh. You're not doing any kind of avoidah, whatever it is. You're just trying to kill time listening. You can get sick of it because whatever. It's just, it's very monotonous. In the avoidah shebedavar, okay, now you talk about something else. But using it as a physical thing, you know what I mean? You're driving and you're trying to keep yourself awake. You can't listen to the same song again and again. Change the song, or else you'll fall right asleep.
Taka.
So when you think about like the world, Yidden are very, I think, advanced in so many things, whether it's just Yidden in general or even from Yidden. When it comes to business, overall, Yidden are very matzliach. When it comes to, even Hollywood, like it's not religious Jews, but like Hollywood's made up of Yidden. There's a certain talent with the art. From Yidden, not as much with like, I guess that type, they're not seeing so many movies from Yidden. But when it comes to music, a lot of times you hear a very unfair comparison about, non-Jewish music and their ability to be very forward and just there's so many different styles, and then you hear from music, it's like, oh, we're not as advanced as we really could or should be, but then
Basically, you're trying to say that people say non-Jewish music is better.
you hear that a lot.
To the bottom line.
You
That's
hear
what
that a
you're
lot,
trying to say.
and I think the reality sometimes, and it's different. It's very different, but and sometimes it is, but it's not really so fair. The amount of people putting out music in the frum world compared, like,
No, but it's not even.
if you compared them, it'd be like, wait, no, from music is way more matzliach, because think of how many from people are putting out music compared to.
Did you ever hear?
hundreds
Did you
of
ever
millions.
hear? You ever heard old Chassidish Nigunim, old Chabad Nigunim? You ever heard?
Yeah,
You heard?
not well enough to sing.
Lately, I'm listening to this niggin. You get lost. It takes you on a journey. For me personally, I can say my personal maisa, my experience with music. There was a tekufa. I was playing guitar. You know, you start listening to some klippus. You know what I'm saying? Part of the avoidah.
Are you recommending against playing the guitar?
No, no, b'chlal not. Because I'm happy I never stopped playing the guitar.
Very good.
But at some point, somebody introduced me. I always grew up hearing Shlomo, you know, but somebody introduced me to Shlomo Carlebach. Then somebody introduced me to Lchaim Tish. You remember Lchaim Tish?
Sure.
And then they started putting out like all different types. And then somebody introduced me to the old Nagunim of the Rebbes and the Chabad Nagunim and stuff like that. And suddenly, I was able to totally leave that other side. Why? Because that side was taking me on a journey, and the only thing that could take me out of that side was something else that takes me on a journey. And once I was being taken on a journey, could be that journey was bad, could be, probably was, right? That journey was a bad journey, this journey was a good journey. But I think it's totally on the same Torah. Unfortunately, by Yana, there's a lot of soul. And you could grab onto that, even if it has negative, even if be'etzem it's not good for your neshama. But it's a lot of it is spiritual. A lot of the words relate to you. A lot of the feeling and the emotion and the soul. So the only thing that could grab you away from that is that on the side of kedusha. So the moment it took Shlomo, it took Chabad Nagunim, it took Chassidish old Rebbe Nagunim, even the Heilige Abi Rottenberg. When I started to it's nothing. That could take you to a place that can't even come close to. Of course, the Sitra Achra has reshus to paint the other side to look beautiful. It's always going to be in the Zion. I don't think it's be'etzem. No, Brother Benny? I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
I'm not going to go so deep. Let me just, in defense of Jewish music for a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Like I'm in defense of modern Jewish music, pop music. I'm not talking about the alte Chassidish Nigunim. When people say that non-Jewish music is so much better than Jewish music, what you have to step back a second and try to understand what they're saying. Non-Jewish music is everything that's not Jewish music. You're talking about trillions of songs,
Right.
okay? But they're not talking about that. They're talking about the top 1% of musicians who are right at the top of music production on the planet.
Right. The best
Right.
of
There's
the
a
best.
lot
Right.
of non-Jewish music.
Right.
That's terrible.
Right.
That's terrible.
They have more
talking-
terrible music than us.
Yeah.
You know?
Terrible
good,
music.
yeah.
I mean, non-Jews don't know how to make bad music. Of course they know how to make bad music.
Right.
You're talking about the 1% or the 0.5% who are the best on the planet, and they go, see, why can't your CD sound like that? It's the same question that every single person making music in the world is asking. So it's not non-Jewish music versus Jewish music. It's people making music versus the top 1%. So it's not even a comparison. You're talking about, I mean, quality. Or, artistry or whatever. I mean, all these things that people say, poetry, depth. I mean, you're talking, why can't I write like Billy Joel? Because Billy Joel, he's the number one in the whole world. Why am I, I'm not competing.
I think Brother Abi could.
Because Brother AB is the top of our, and you're right, the top. Can't compete.
I just noticed I said Brother Abi, call him Brother Abi. We're all brothers.
Well, Kul Alma Moedim that AB is the Rebbe. AB is the Rebbe of Jewish music.
Kuli Alma Moed.
You know what I mean?
I mean the Rebbe. Yeah.
The Rebbe is the Rebbe of Jewish music, and the Rebbe is the Rebbe of everything. AB You said you what do you Talmud? What do you write over there?
Lifnei Rabbi.
Talmud Lifnei Rabbi when he was talking to AB. AB is AB. AB is Einun Ein Sikir.
And he saw, but hold on, let's talk about Abe. Like I didn't put it out yet. I interviewed him, but you would never, if he wore a mask and you couldn't tell who he was, you would never know in a million years. He's just so humble about it. So humble about it. But sorry, I'm cutting you off. You're in the middle of saying your music theory.
No, let's talk about AB.
Oh yeah.
What's my music theory? We try. We put out music.
But before we go to that, so I have a question for you because I grew up listening to non-Jewish music and
in Flatbush.
In Flatbush. Don't tell everyone.
You know what? Today, I would rather listen to Shlomo singing "Choneinu Hashem Choneinu" than listening to the Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin.
Right. No, I hear that. No, but
you know that nigga, by the way, brother Ben?
No.
No, so but I'm always with the question. I know it's happened, but it's always been in cheesy ways. But like, why? And you hear like Nigunim that like, you know, I don't know, in Europe, like the country or I don't know who in the theaters they're playing a song, and then like, all of a sudden it's like I think the song Yidden, right? Like it was non-Jew, well, not non-Jewish, whatever. It was a song of the country, and then they developed it into from song.
Super non-Jewish.
Like anti-Jewish, probably.
Yeah, maybe.
So
I don't speak German.
So yeah, it's for. By the way, anytime I hear a song on the radio like that's like we're changing the channels and like it's Spanish, I'm like they're saying death to the Jews.
Yeah,
probably. But if you're not Jewish and watching and listening to this, we love you. Thank you. But why doesn't that happen more often? Is that specific that we're not taking not the words but like the tune? There's something, isn't the concept of like taking something that's not kedushadik and tumadik and making kedushadik? Like why doesn't that happen more? Like I've heard songs and I'm like I would love to tap into this. I'm not because I don't agree with the message, but like the tune is there and like we again, I'm not like maybe Donnie could be like it's not that easy to do that, but I feel like we could be doing that more. But then there's
so many different shittas.
Yeah.
By the way,
I would do that
a little piece of advice, Damazai.
Yeah.
There's a great book written by Yid Rabbi Elisha Sandler. He came out with a book called Bashir of Azimra.
Rabbi Sandler from the Five Towns?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He wrote a book about the complete suga of music with Torahs from everywhere. It's literally like a Likut Sefer, but you just get a full vast understanding of the Torah's perspective on music, but it happens to be that different shittas. Like Rav Moshe Feinstein wrote in the Tshuva that music is not physical, it's not makabel tumah. You know, your Shemaya should be makbid, but but then apparently there's a mice of one of the mashkichim once, Amal, one of the yeshivas, where somebody took let's say an unkosher song and put kosher words to it, and he said, okay, they put tzitzis on a chazer. Put tzitzis on a chazer. That was his opinion. You know, apparently, I mean, we know in the Torah of Reb Nachman, he was very nervous from non-Jewish music. Very, like it's very deeply spiritual. It could cause problems. You know, we have the Gemaras about Acher, right? One of the opinions of why Acher started serving avoidah zarah was that he was listening to Greek music. The Gemara goes through a list of reasons, right? It's a sugya. It's a big sugya, but it's kedai to read this book. Anybody watching this or listening to this, you read this book, you get a beautiful understanding. You hear what I'm saying, Brother Benny?
I hear what you're saying.
So this is kind of maybe related in a way.
But I just want to say that a lot of people did do it and do it very successfully. And sometimes it's very, very beautiful.
What did the Rebbe say about it? What was the Rebbe's opinion on non-Jewish music?
I don't know. But there are songs Hasidic songs that clearly from non-Jewish origins that became the highest Hasidic songs.
I think those that tzaddikim themselves took those, right? Sometimes
it was Hasidim who recognized something in the song. There are many songs that never made it to our bringing, but Chassidim heard it, like Russian songs that soldiers sang, Luba, brati, Luba, and Chassidim heard it. And that was by the Rebbe. The Rebbe taught that niggin, but there's many examples, and let's not talk Yom Tov Erlich. Even his name is Erlich, and many of his songs are Russian tunes. Something wrong with it? I don't think so.
Right. Right, but could be the I
have to know.
Maybe the older ones
I asked
also
once a
different.
very
The sound of it had more zizkai.
I asked once a very knowledgeable mashpi. I said, "What's a definition? How what makes something a Jewish song?" So he says, "You know what? I think it's like Bishul Yisrael. You know, a yid has to have something to do with it. You know, it's like Yiddish tam. You know, if you hear a tune and you think this has potential to be a Jewish song, and you sing it and give it a Jewish taste." That's a Jewish song. Why not? Anyway, like you said, there's different opinions. Why do more people not do it? Could be because of, you know what I mean, cancel culture.
I'm not here. Nobody, chas v'shalom, to ever judge anybody. Everybody's going to grow in their own ways. Everybody's going to connect in their own ways. Be misdabek to Hashem. If that's what you're holding, chas v'shalom. There's just different. But they say over one of the tzaddikim said that the person who writes the song, he poured something into a cup, and the person who listens to the song drank the cup. They say such a mashal. They say such a mashal. So from some of the tzaddikim, that the person who wrote it poured something in. The person who listens drinks that cup whenever you listen to that song. So they just so the tzaddikim said, "Be aware." Finished.
Right.
You know. In the end of the day, you have to know what's bringing you close to Hashem, what's bringing you further from Hashem, and that should be the test in everything, right? So if that's the test, if you pay attention deeply. Is this helping your enhancement? Is this helping your connection with Hashem? Then, okay. You know, if it's not, then it's probably kedai to slowly wean off.
But if it is, then it's kedai not to wean off.
Saying
if it is. You know, if it is.
Right.
If you're honest with yourself and it's helping you, and you think this, you know, you hear a song and you go, something is here. Gesundheit.
We'll be right back this week's episode, and I am joined again by my good, can I say friend? My good friend, Rabbi David M. Cohn, who I got to interview once, and if you haven't watched that, go check it out. But I read his first book. I'm in the middle of a second book called Together Again. In the show notes, go ahead and go buy it. Fascinating book. And one of the things I want to focus on, well, first, let's just introduce you. If someone doesn't know you, you are a podcaster, an amazing podcaster. You are an amazing speaker. You're an amazing coach. Sorry for saying all this in front of you. It's always, I try to do my intros without the people there, but sorry, you're in the throes of it. But just
we're already neighbors. We're going to be even closer neighbors, I understand.
Exactly.
So we're already building rapport.
So you're all about, I guess, in everything you do, it's all tied into like building relationships. I think that's for everyone, but you in particular. And there's some fascinating relationships that you have that you mentioned in this book. Who were some of those people? Who are some of those people?
I've been very, very blessed at all stages of my life to have critical mentors who have really impacted my own metamorphosis, my own development. And I talk about in the book a little bit about how I grapple with kind of having mentors that are giants and wanting to be like them and not really being able to actualize being exactly like them, and how to integrate parts of them into your own persona but still retaining your own personal identity. So I talk a lot, each one, again, hopefully people will read the book, but I talk about my dynamic and my relationship with Rabbi Yehuda Kellemer, Zechut Tzaddik, Livracha, who was my Rav in West Hempstead growing up, who was really a prince of a person who had such a profound impact on my life. Rav Moshe Weinberger from Eish Kodesh here in Woodmere was, of course, Mofil Akol, was really one of my earliest mentors. I really was zocha to have a relationship with him at a very early age, before there was even Eish Kodesh, when they were in a house, like when kind of it was still the IPO stage where people were just first coming to see
like
what it
an
was.
Origin story.
Yeah, and I used to be able to drive him around and be mishamish him, and really, you know, and I speak to Rav Weinberger whenever I can, but it's more lessons that echo and resonate with me from 20 years ago, conversations we have that are still very much relevant today. Rabbi Binyamin Yudin, who was a rabbinic mentor of mine, I studied by him and did shimush by him for 5 years in Fairlawn, New Jersey, as a junior Rav, and that was an incredible experience. Rabbi Dr. Norman Lam, who was the president of Yeshiva University, famous person, scholar, a great fundraiser, somebody who I talk about having a relationship from afar. We weren't like particularly tight, but I explore different interactions that he and I had. And of course, I talk also about relationship with my son Yedidya. Yedidya's a little bit famous in the world. He has Down syndrome.
Of course, yes.
He's an amazing kid. And I talk a lot about Yedidya and his friends and what it's like to have a child with Down syndrome and have
the carpool.
The carpool,
yes,
exactly.
Yes,
the great essay in here about the carpool. Talk about my amazing parents, my mother, my father, how they've impacted my life. And it's really an opportunity for me to kind of dig deep and glean lessons from these people, apply them to my own life. And I think other people can also gain a tremendous amount from the unique qualities that these inspirational people have. The inspiration for the nation.
There you go.
These people have really great insights that one can learn from. And a lot of these things are not things you'll hear in their speeches. It's more things that I've got from interpersonal interactions and have been able to apply and adapt. And I'm excited to share them with the broader audience.
It's definitely incredible, and it's such an easy read, but it's also such an impactful read, which I love that fusion of the two. So if anyone who wants to get the book, in the show notes, you could get the book. You could buy the book there, or you could go on Amazon, or go to local farm stores, or you could go on your website, rabbidavidmcohn.com, where you could find out a lot more about Rabbi David M. Cohn. I mean, there's a lot in this book, so go buy it, but there's also so much more about him that you will be fascinated, and you'll realize why he was literally one of the first people I've interviewed ever. So everyone, go ahead, go check it out. And now back to this.
We're going to throw in a 2-for-1 maybe. I have, if you're really excited about this book, we could also, work out a deal for the previous book as well, if anybody wants to kind of catch up on the previous reading as well.
Yes, that was great. Okay, now back to this week's episode. Something I've noticed from doing a bunch of podcasts is I think the type of episodes or conversations people love is when they feel that the person being interviewed or just the conversation is very authentic. I definitely myself try to be as authentic as I can. So the next question is super authentic, and it might not be easy, and we could cut it out if it's too much.
He gave a warning.
I gave a warning. You don't have to be so scared. Someone actually mentioned this question to me, and I love it because I think it could open up just a really nice and relatable conversation. For each of you, what's a challenge that you had in your life and that you went through it and you overcame it, or you're still going through it? And you could either pass on this question, or you could, if you're human, then you've gone through millions of challenges. So you could really, you could be like, I really wanted the Fruity Pebbles. They didn't have it. You could go as light as you want, or you could go as thick as you want.
I'll go first. I used to be very arrogant, but now I'm humble.
Brother Benny over there.
That's very good.
How? What was the key tool to help you break out of the midah?
Through realizing one day that I'm actually humble.
Me? Of course I'm humble.
Yeah. He's saying a yid is be'etzem humble. You just have to tap into it.
Yeah, but mostly me. Yeah.
I thought I once saw you say in an interview, Taka, that when you started learning bittul.
Really?
I thought for some reason it was ringing a bell. No. Yes. There was an interview. Somebody asked you, how do you stay with the fanfare, with the crowds, with the oilam jumping, with the constant rush of being, the oilam likes to say, celeb. For me, everything is avoidah. You know what I'm saying? Celeb. What's a celeb? A fabranger. That's what I am, not a celeb. But so how do you stay humble and just an Eved Hashem? So I remember Taka. You remember this?
What did I say? It was probably something very
You said
insightful.
something about Taka. It's a funny struggle because one day I'm out there and everyone's screaming, Benny, Benny, Benny. And the next day I'm learning bittul. The next day I'm opening up. I'm learning chassidus. I'm learning.
I think it might have been on my interview. I think because I vaguely
to be
remember this. I don't
yourself
remember
and Hashem and mamish that's what holds you down. L'maisa, learning.
Doesn't sound like something I would say.
I'm gonna find it.
Lately, I've been hearing a lot of stories. People send me clips, a conversation. We go, yeah, I spoke to my friend Benny, and he told me this and that, or this. I wouldn't say something like that. I don't know. I'm getting misquoted all over town.
Gotta call them out.
But it's okay because I'm humble.
Misquoted. I'm gonna find that video, huh?
Joey, how about you? Do you have a moment? And Benny, we can get back to you if you want.
So I'll tell you, I never struggled. Everything was always perfect.
Both of you guys. This is why I got both of you guys. You give the same type of answers.
What do you mean? L'maisa, you say besides the general typhus that everybody has.
Yeah, man.
And the sionis that everybody has to work on. How we doing over there? And bizyonis.
Mm-hmm.
Besides all that stuff.
And an easy idea is probably just typically going back to high school is okay, there's a lot of, because this is a very developmental stage in our lives.
I struggled in high school. I wasted 4 years of high school. You know what? I shouldn't say that chas v'shalom because only now you realize you never wasted anything.
So what? But what did you mean when you said it? If you could go back, you would do it differently. It sounds low.
I don't know how to say this probably. I didn't have a strong connection with Yiddishkeit in high school. I was always from my whole life.
Because you
I was
were
always there Yom Kippur doing tshuva.
because you weren't
True for what? For being from?
because you weren't focused. Like it was a Beshita thing. Like I'm just trying to find who Joey is.
This is gonna. Nah.
You're Yossi then. No, I don't know. What you're Yosef. No, you weren't.
I was Yosef my whole life until high school.
Oh, okay, nice.
And I used to play electric guitar. I used to walk around with my Gibson Les Paul rocking out. So one of the Chevra one time coined the phrase "Rockstar Joe," and then it stuck Joey for the rest of my life.
What happened to Rockstar?
By the way, I saw the two things that are inspiring me to switch back from Joey. First of all, Rav Weinberger always says your name is not Joe. Second of all, I saw that video of the Rebbe. People are passing by, and he's like, "What's your name?" And they're saying English names. He's like, "What's your Hebrew name?" Oh, and then there's another video where people were saying the English name, and the Rebbe was giving them Hebrew names.
Yeah, there was many videos of people coming by asking the Rebbe what their Hebrew name should be.
And he was
They
basically
don't have a Hebrew name and asking what it should be.
right.
And he's deciding for them.
Yeah, your Jewish name is Mamash.
Or giving them suggestions.
Your shame. Your Jewish name is your essence. So, like, I don't have an English name. I could show you my license right now.
I was trying to convince you on your Instagram to change your name from Yosef Joey Newcomb, I think.
Right, I stuck it in there to remind myself, Lamaisa.
I'm like, I hear you, but you're Joey already.
I don't have, by the way, my license, my birth certificate says Yosef.
Wow.
I don't have an English name. This was a nickname I started in high school. I was thinking once, maybe Erev Pesach, we put out a niggin, Brother Donnie, put out a niggin. Lashinu Shemam, we put out Lashinu Shemam. It says that Klal Yisrael left Mitzrayim, Lashinu Shemam, Lashinu Malbusham, Lashinu Lashoinam. Lashinu Shemam. And Shlomo used to sing, my name is not Joe. My name is Yosele from Queens. Make a whole niggin, Lashinu Shemam. Maybe yeah, maybe no. Anyways, in high school, I don't know. You asked me why. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna blame it on now. Because also, if I say what I blame it on, I can't say Barabim.
Okay, that's fair. So,
but Ba'atzim, there's no blame game. Ain't a davar toile elobi, But I didn't have a strong connection. Halfway through my Beis Medrash experience, which itself is a chiddush that I even went to Beis Medrash. I went to Beis Medrash because it was a thing to do. It's a thing to go to Beis Medrash.
Good, I guess. Good peer pressure.
Yeah, it was gewaldic because had I not gone, you know what I'm saying?
You'd be Yosef.
I went to Bridgeport, Connecticut. You have to chop. My mother was doing like real estate sales. I was getting involved. I took a test. I think to this day I have like 2 real estate licenses.
Do you really?
Sales. Yeah, I think I'm all like at the end of 12th grade. I had no plans in
You should whip that out now. Now you're well known.
Yeah.
Like
the kids. I went to Bridgeport. Wild Misa. And there's a Rebbe there of Newberger. He would give the first year shir. And the island would just schluff. But like at least I had midas, you know what I'm saying? So I felt bad. I was schluffing. I was on the phone schluffing. And the Rebbe prepared a shir. Rebbe, if you're watching this video, I'm telling you this is what I remember. So I hope I'm saying the truth over here. And then we would end up fighting back and forth literally for 40 minutes in a sugya. I had zero interest. But Stam, like the Rebbe was saying something, so I was out. Before you know it, I flipped Lagamri. I finished Masechtas Adarim that year. I was sitting in the Beis Medrash hours and hours and hours and hours a day.
What happened? What did he do? What did he say?
I think that I might have said this on another avoidah that we schmoozed about. But,
could be. I don't remember.
But there's 2 nakudas here. Number one is I call it the baby shu mahalach, which public service announcement does not work for everybody. I just needed it myself, and this should not be something that's taken b'derech klal. It's not a general rule. For me, I needed space, and in high school, everything was like rules and rules and rules. The moment I had freedom in my life, and in Bridgeport, there was total freedom. How we doing over there? So you know how like when you get your baby shoes, they tell you to come back every month. Because in order for the baby's foot to properly grow, you have to open the shoe. There has to be space for his foot to grow. The moment I had a certain amount of space, it was the first time in my life I started thinking, like, what am I even b'chlal? What am I doing in this world b'chlal? So that was one nakuda, and number 2, the light of Torah seeped into my heart by just even learning shaloi lishma, or maybe it was lishma. I don't know what it's called, but just learning. It seeped in, and it made a big turnaround in my life. I went to Eretz Yisrael the next 2 years, learning.
Where'd you go in Israel?
I went to Merkaz for 2 years.
All right.
Then I went to the Mir Yeshiva in Rav Resnick Shir. I have notebooks like this from Rav Resnick Shir. But Shabbos I always went with a Chassidim. You know? After a whole week learning, Shabbos used to go to Tzfas, hang out with Olam there. Used to go hang out.
It's a far
there was
drive.
actually a Chabad in Meir Sharm. You know about that? There was a Geschmack Achever there. They used to make farbrengens. We used to go with the Olam Thursday nights. It was a Gaval. At the end of the week, I needed to farbreng, you know?
Right.
But I don't know. But you asked, like, is there something specific I struggled with? I mean,
that's
there's
a nice
so many
answer.
things. There's so many things I struggled with. I can't pick one specific thing and say this is the inyan.
No, it wasn't like the thing. I just wanted you to share something that you struggle with.
Yeah.
You said something. I mean, you can share more if you wanted.
There's so many things, but that's life. Life is going to Adam la'omal yulan.
I think
Fighting with
I think
struggles.
it's nice to hear you say that, or just, I think in general, I think when you see just in the non-Jewish world celebrities out there in like Hollywood or whatever it is, it's natural to be like, wow, they're beautiful or this or handsome or like so wealthy and they have it and they're famous, like everything's fine for them. And like the more we don't really know them, but the more you get to know someone, it's like, no, they're human. I really believe people are listening to this or watching this and like, they hear you saying that, or okay, but come on, you're famous, and like you have it made. Everything's easy for you. Everything was easy for you.
If I would start to go through nisyonis that personal family nisyonis, different stuff, I'm saying just because a guy's running around farbrengen, that means that everything's perfect in his life. I'm saying the Olam has struggles, the Olam has inyanim, the Olam has things. The people are sent in this world to be metaken, That's what we're doing. We're all pulling through. We'll pull through, we'll stay strong, we'll keep thanking Hashem, you know what I'm saying? Am I making any sense, Brother Benny?
You're making tons and tons of
Benny,
sense.
do you want to share something?
Or am I making dollars?
Or do you want to...
Both.
This guy over here.
It's
a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
What are you tying, brother? What are you tying?
It's mishagas, whatever. I mean, well, look, when you're farbringing and you're in the position of hoo-ha and making everything so people have to realize that that's like you said, 1% of a person's life. So to think, wow, you have everything made is stam. It's not
Right.
using your brain. It's not stopping to think for more than 2 seconds. It's whatever. It's just silliness. Whatever. Life is a struggle. Everything's a struggle.
Stam is like social
Baruch
media.
Hashem, thank
Social
Hashem.
media did that to people. Meaning, you're never going to post. Imagine a guy post, oh my God, you know what I'm going through right now? And he shows his, You're never going to post that. You're going to post Geschmack. So but the Olam HaPosting, in the Olam HaFacebook, you're posting vacations, you're posting the fanciest new dress you got, you're posting the big fancy concert that you just did. So in the Olam HaPosting, all you see is toiv, so it's taka dimyan. But that's what people see. But I mean, you want to know something? You want to know a personal struggle from the avoidah for bringing a singer? I can't sleep.
What do you mean?
The last few weeks, Baruch Hashem, the Eibush is mashpia, and Hashem should continue being mashpia on you, Brother Benny. Should be zeicher and parnasa. He should be zeicher hashpar and parnasa. And there was sometimes it gets crazy in the summer. Camp to camp, running around, and you get these rushes and these highs and these things. my body started getting vil. Like
Meaning your body was so up that you couldn't sleep?
Yeah.
Really?
So needing the rush. So that's an assignment.
That's
How do you
hard.
deal with that?
Yeah, if you can't sleep, that's...
Bittel. Spoilus. You have to be able to calm down. Saying every job is going to have its nisayon, right? The accountant has to learn how not to get angry and yell at his wife in April. While he's under stress and this. But he comes home from his office to be nice to his kids. I'm saying everything you do in your life is going to have its nisyonis. It's going to have its good parts. The Welt sees the good parts. Gewaldig. That's what we're here. We're here to work everything out and to be warriors.
We're here also to share the positivity and to uplift people. Social media. Social media. Why would you post negative things? It's for what? I mean, it's not. You're not. Your therapist is not the only one who follows your Twitter feed.
Right.
You post things in order to uplift people, in order to share positivity, and I mean, social media is used to make you look better. right? But I'm speaking from the mashpia or from the influencer perspective. You're trying to influence people in a positive way.
Right.
You're trying to make people. So why would you share negative things? It's
100%.
It's but it doesn't mean that a person who's sharing positive things is only experiencing 100% positive things. That's not Olam Haza.
It's really beautiful the way you say it. I'm going to end off with a question. I don't think I don't remember all the conversations we had in the past, but I don't think I've asked this. And it's going to be the same question, but it's going to shift for each of you. So, and you guys could choose who answers first. Benny, if you
just said you guys can choose who answers first. Benny.
No. I'm asking first, and then
okay.
I'll go to Joey. But it's the same question. You'll see how I shift that.
I just want to point out the boots over here.
Yeah, for those listening, Joey is holding up boots.
And brother,
I think you're going to wear them.
No, brother Donnie wears these boots and he hides them in the studio. I just want to be a Megala.
Boots on the floor, sign on the door. That's a Faith song. Okay.
So I don't think I asked. Forgive me if I asked that, and if I did, we'll shift the question. But Benny, if you could sing a song to the Rebbe, which song would you sing?
Oh my!
And why? Hold on. And then Joey, for Rabbi Freifeld, if you could sing a song for Rabbi Freifeld, what song would you sing him and why?
Wow.
Maybe I should have asked you guys this like a few days ago so you could think about it.
Taka, or at the beginning and say we'll answer it at the end. Oh no, but then you can't think.
I
during the
thought
whole
of it
time,
in the middle while we were talking, honestly.
Wow, das is that. But one of my own are gonna Lchaim.
You take the question however you want it to be. I would imagine you would want to do
one of your own.
We can shift the question a bit.
I'm asking.
I have no idea.
Really?
I mean,
Right
traditionally,
now, I'm gonna you have 10 minutes. He's gonna be over there. He wants to hear you and hear your song.
it's very theoretical. The Rebbe traditionally Chassidim were mum in front of the Rebbe. They didn't talk. They didn't, unless the Rebbe specifically asked them to do something.
If the Rebbe says, "Choose a song, give me a song right now,"
I have no idea. Yeah, I mean,
okay, we'll get back to you. After
it's
Joe.
impossible. I don't know.
No?
The Rebbe did.
Well, hold on. You have a relationship with the Rebbe. Obviously, it's a hard question to answer, but there's got to be something in your head that you're like, I would love to sing this in front of him. You've sung so many times. You never thought
the one song. I don't know. I didn't think about it too long because this is.
But the next time we do this, you'll give me another answer.
But the one song that just popped into my head right now is I stand before the Rebbe say, "Sing a song." The one song that popped into my brain is from Lchaim and David. Hineni, I am ready to serve you with love. Hineni, whatever you need, that's what I'm here for. I'm available.
That's very nice.
That's a gaval.
That's very nice.
Now that's a gaval.
Joey, how about you?
I mean, I would like to say thank you Hashem or Mikam Chesro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I had to go to Reb Shlomo and introduce one of my nagunim, I think he would enjoy it. I think he would enjoy thank you Hashem.
Yeah?
You know? I mean, I don't know, it's a hard one.
I know we're winding down, but you mentioned Thank You Hashem. Can we talk about Thank You Hashem for a moment?
Brother Benny, what are you telling?
Here's my question.
Yeah.
Do you have a song
Oh.
that you think he wouldn't enjoy? That you
Oh, Brother Benny's taking over with the hard questions here. Excuse that outburst there. Brother Benny, give me one Hawaii over there.
Hawaii, Joey, Hawaii.
In our defense, it's really late at night, and thank you, Donnie. And
Wait, 1 second. Wait, that? I'm not sure. Yeah.
My question is that an easier question or a harder question? Like, which of your songs would he enjoy the most? That's a very difficult question. Which of your songs would he enjoy the least? Is that easier or harder?
It's harder. Because I have to think now into how could I judge that? I mean, I have to now go through all his schmoozing.
Right.
And listen to all the live campfires that they have recorded from the Shayasha Bungalow Colony. And watch all the videos that they have and like try to figure out like, you know.
this is a good avoidah to do, though. You're so well versed in all that stuff.
What were you tiny? Thank you, Hashem. You're into it or you're not into it?
I have an interesting relationship with Thank You Hashem. I mean, I'll be honest and open. I think ultimately what's happening is great. But there is like the idea that like things are being commercialized in a way, but it's not really. I just think that is just the negative some people who like don't really understand what's going on, they take out of it.
Yeah?
I think so. I don't know.
I'm always a guy who likes to see the positive in everything, right? That's the Mitzvah. So all I know is from my experience and going around to certain places and watching how people have been affected, it seems like, but Bechlal, it did a lot of good. Did a lot of good, you know? I'm going to focus in now. Everything could become commercial. What are you going to do?
Right.
You know, when I put out my first niggin, I was like, oh, he's a sweet little Karlbach guy with his guitar, you know? And then suddenly becomes an inyan, you know? The Metzias of the world is that when things become popular, they become commercial. Maybe. No love dafka.
Chlal is a problem where people stand on the side and make with their nose about things that other people are doing.
Right.
And it's not the most beautiful attribute. You know what I mean? Someone's doing something. Someone took on himself a campaign. Thank you, Hashem. Well, it's beautiful. You want to sit down now, make a cheshbon on nefesh on his behalf. Is it 100% lishma? Is it not 100% lishma?
Right.
Is it this or that? Hello. You don't have anything better to do with your life.
100%.
You have nothing to do today. You're not busy.
Somebody was telling me, like, he was telling me stuff that he was bothered by with Thank Hashem. I say, but the only people that the issue is Thank Hashem. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you know, it is gewaldig. You know what that, you know, I even overheard from Rabbi Yamin Eisenberg. He was saying, Taka, that's an inyan, Thank Hashem. Taka, a huge Kiddush Hashem. He was speaking beautifully about it. You know, relax. It's you know what it did? You know the type of energy it brought into Klal Yisrael? You know? To start nitpicking and finding the kudas that are problems with things, Bechlal, it's not the derech, I'm saying. Like, you know, you gotta...
Like Rav Nachman said, in everything you can find the nekuda toiva, right?
Right. And you have to...
But if you try, you can also find, if you want, if you're dedicated, you can find also the negative. You know, some people dedicate their life to this, some people dedicate their life to that. Anyway, you know, I don't know if I said this. Discussing, there's a famous marshal of a pig and a chicken walking down the street. You know this story? You know this story? A pig and a chicken walking down the street, and they see a big sign, and it says, "Bacon and eggs breakfast special." Blah blah blah. So the chicken says to the chicken says to his friend, look at our contribution to society. And the pig says, chicken, for you, it's a contribution. For me, it's a commitment. Right? It's a famous story. A lot of people use it on Rosh Hashanah for their their speech and shul to people who come once a year. We need a commitment. We don't need a contribute. Fine. But because it's it's not nice, so they change it, and they say a cow and a chicken, or whatever, and it's a steak and whatever. I was speaking with my brother Eli, and he says they missed the point. The story has to be with a chazer. Why? Because the chicken is contributing. He's contributing eggs, yeah, and he's proud and he's excited and he's look at our contribution. This chazer hasn't contributed anything, right? He's looks at the chicken and goes, "You think that's something special? If I would give much more." Yeah, but the Devali didn't give anything. So why are you bad-mouthing somebody who's giving? Because if you, in your theoretical big balit stuck, you would. That's why the story has to be a chazer. You're not ready to give? Okay, so keep your mouth closed. Let the chicken continue to give the way he's giving, and he's contributing, and he's proud of it, and he's continuing, and leave him alone. If you want to give more than him, give, because today. Why do you have to? Anyway, so stam.
Beautiful, really, really beautiful.
So speaking of just thanking Hashem, I want to leave the oilam with a message here.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, because one of our connections that we had before I even was zeicher to know Brother Benny was that Eli Melech wrote a couple of nagunim for you.
Sure.
Eli Melech Bloomstein and Arya Bloomstein are the founders of Thank You Hashem, a beautiful movement that's
Could
spreading light.
I want to interview them. They keep telling me no. Joey, come on.
You put the pressure on me over here.
Well,
I'm going to ask Brother Donnie to do it. the Thank Hashem.
Right.
So Mamela, and I'm very close chaverim with that chavra, and I think they're doing a beautiful thing with Thank Hashem.
Sure.
So Mamela, I know them, you know that? So there was a shtickle situation. So the message to the people, you ready, Rabbi Yaakov, you ready? Mm-hmm. This is the message to the people. Always remember who you are. Always remember who you are. You know what you are, Brother Benny? Mensches,
Hoppa.
kohanim, v'goy kadoy, v'atem tiyuli. What's the chord over there? Mensches kohanim.
Sure.
V'goy kadoy, mensches, kohanim, v'goy kadoy. V'atem tiyuli, mamleches koyanim, v'goy kadosh. I got it right over there, Brother Benny?
Beautiful.
That's who we are. We're mamleches koyanim, v'goy kadosh. Never forget. Stay positive. Keep vibrating. Masking, Brother Benny, over there.
Maskim. Lchaim.
Lchaim to you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brother Joey, Brother Benny, for having me on your podcast. Who's going to be your next guest on the Benny and Joey show?
I think Brother Donnie.
We have 20 interviews lined up already. We're so backed up, we don't even know.
Very good. Shkoyach, guys.
Thank you again for watching or listening to this week's episode. First off, please go ahead and buy those 2 books that were mentioned. They're both very important for very different reasons, but you get a lot from each of them. So go ahead, go buy Talking About Personal Privacy, and also go ahead and buy Rav David M. Cohn's book. The links are in the show notes. And talking about personal privacy, you get 25% off. How you doing? Just use the code there. And if you enjoy this podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone in your family or friends that would enjoy it. I mean, who doesn't love Joey or Benny? Come on, they're great. And go ahead and rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave a comment on YouTube, hit a thumbs up on YouTube, go to livinglchaim.com and leave us a suggestion who you want me to talk to interview, to have a conversation with, do a dynamic duo episode with. You can do that all there. And also, in the show notes, we have 3 magical numbers. Those are for people that don't have smartphones and don't have internet. You could watch or listen to, well, you could listen on these phone numbers to any of the Living Lchaim podcasts. You call up, it's free. So if you're in America, you're in Israel, you're in the UK, you can go ahead and listen. I don't know, support of Ukraine. I feel like we should have a Ukrainian number. But if you're in a country that people don't have access to smartphones or the internet, tell us. We'll add in more numbers. I'll add in 1,000 numbers if we need to. I don't know if we'll actually do that. But until next time, have an inspirational day. Living Lchaim.